She was one of the smartest people in the room, a doctor, a director, someone who had read every book, solved every problem, and yet she didn't see it coming. Because narcissists don't target the weak, they target the exceptional. And understanding why might be the most important thing you ever learn. For decades, psychologists assumed that people who ended up in relationships with narcissists must have had low self-esteem, damaged pasts, emotional vulnerabilities. But the data told a completely different story. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Personality found that individuals with high levels of empathy, intelligence, and ambition were significantly more likely to be targeted by people with narcissistic personality disorder. Not less. The very traits that made them successful, their capacity for deep connection, their willingness to see the best in others, their drive, became weapons used against them. It starts with something called love bombing, an overwhelming flood of affection, attention, and validation. The narcissist studies you, your insecurities, your dreams, your deepest needs, and becomes the perfect mirror of everything you've ever wanted. For someone intelligent, this feels different. It feels like finally being truly seen, understood. Smart people are often surrounded by people who don't match them. So when someone seems to, they lean in. But here's what makes narcissists so dangerous. They are extraordinarily skilled social strategists. Research shows that the dark triad personality, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy often correlates with above-average social intelligence. They know exactly what they're doing. Once the attachment forms, the tactics shift. The praise becomes inconsistent. The warmth disappears without warning. And the target starts working harder and harder to get back to that feeling of being truly seen. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement. It's the same mechanism behind gambling addiction, and it works especially well on people whose brains are wired to solve problems, because they believe that if they just figure out the pattern, they can fix it. Here's what's happening in the brain. Every moment of warmth from a narcissist triggers a dopamine release. Every cold withdrawal creates anxiety. Over time, the brain begins to associate the narcissist with both the highest highs and a desperate need for relief. This is not weakness. This is neuroscience. The same brain that makes someone an exceptional doctor, executive, or artist, with its heightened sensitivity and pattern recognition, becomes the very thing that traps them. Dr. Ramani Durvasula, one of the world's leading researchers on narcissistic abuse, describes it clearly. Empaths don't just attract narcissists. Narcissists seek them out. Deliberately. Systematically. Because empathy is the resource they feed on. And smart people in particular are rich in this resource. They feel deeply. They analyze deeply. They commit deeply. All of which makes them extraordinarily valuable targets in the predator's eyes. So what do you do with this? Knowing you're a target doesn't make you helpless. In fact, understanding the mechanism is the single most powerful form of protection. Researchers identify 3 key red flags in the early stages that even highly intelligent people miss. Excessive idealization that feels too fast, subtle boundary tests disguised as jokes, and a pattern of talking about others with contempt. 3 signs. That's it. Learn them. And perhaps most importantly, your intelligence is not the problem. Your empathy is not the problem. The problem is a predator who learned how to weaponize both. That's not on you. But protecting yourself going forward, that part is. Because once you understand how narcissists think, how they select, how they trap, how they feed, the spell breaks. And that may be the most dangerous thing you can ever be to them, informed. If this resonated with you, if you recognized yourself or someone you love in any part of this. Share this video, not to alarm, but because the first step out of the dark is always knowing you're in it. Subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology they never taught you in school. Next week, we go inside the mind of the con artist. You won't look at people the same way again.